Well, hello, welcome back. It's nice to be back. 2025, here we go. I took December off, but this is now we're in January, dog. And like I said in the previous episode with Nate Wessel, we were gonna do a part two. That happened relatively quickly, so that's what you get today. Nate Wessel part two. You're in for a treat. It's better to have him sitting down than just driving in the car, but I'll take whatever I can get. Guy's a legend, and I'm grateful that he spent the time to talk with me. It's you kind of get to see like a little bit behind the scenes on his personality and what makes him tick, and we definitely get into some pretty cool stories in this episode, so I think you're going to enjoy it. If you do like it, do me a favor and send this show to a BMX friend who might find interest in this, or somebody who stopped riding but was a big fan of Nate Wessel. 2025 is going to be a great year, and I'm happy to be back in your ear holes, and I hope you enjoy this episode. So, here's Nate Wessel. Kanode Knows. Welcome back, Nate Wessel. Hi.
How's it going?
It's going good, man. I was listening to our last episode. Thank you for coming back for part two. We kind of left off like Joe T1 split
Yep.
is kind of what our pickup point was, but I think actually let's get into that. I was going to ask you about the past couple of weeks and the holidays and stuff, but we can get into that later. Let's pick it up chronologically. So
Okay.
what year is this, by the way? Like we're going chronologically through your career. T1. When
Dude,
did
I mean, the internet will tell you better than me, man. It's
let's see
it's the one thing that'll probably through the rest of this interview, it's like, I mean, I had so much head trauma even up to that point of that happening. It's none of it's good, and like I wish I could tell you what year that was. I literally have no clue whatsoever. That was I mean, what I can remember out of that, I think that was probably the height of my BMX career, if you call it a career, whatever. That's probably the best I was riding at that point and whatnot. And man, it's sad because like that was I never asked to be on that team, but if there was any team that you could ever be on or want to be on, for me that was the one, and it's like after you become a pro, you kind of look at that like there's companies out there that look at you and whatever, and you sit there and you're in your mind you're thinking like, oh, it'd be sick to ride for them or whatever, or this or that, or some people are just like, so they keep jumping all over the map. They'll take whatever paycheck comes at them, and to me there was only a couple bike companies I ever even would have ridden for, and I just didn't, coming into it like how I did. I like S&M would have been one of them, but there's no way that anybody's ever going to ask me to ride for S&M. But I just thought Moeller was awesome. Everything about what he's a businessman, of course, but like what he's done for BMX in general and all the stuff, like that would have been a sick team to ride for. But where I landed, that was like all time, and I
fuck yeah.
couldn't ask for anything more different. And what happened and whatever, and for the reasons that they happened. Some I don't understand, and others I can be like, okay, whatever. That's stupid. But
I remember you saying like something happened. I don't think you said what it was, and then you said that you and Joe kind of squashed it eventually, but it was like
it's never really. I mean, it's never really been squashed. It was just like let go. I had asked like what was up, and I never really got a real answer. Which, whatever. It's fine. I
yeah.
don't. If that's what it was going to be, then I guess I realized what our friendship was if I wasn't going to get a real answer, which sucks, But I love Joe, man. I honestly, if he called me today, I'd do whatever in my power that I could do for him, and that's the person I am, It's it, those things happen, but the way they happen made me a stronger human.
Yep.
Like all the worst situations in your life, they'll always make you like a better person at the end of the day, or it'll totally crush you and kill you, and you can
Choose.
dwell
Yeah.
on that stuff, and it won't be good in any way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, I always tried to choose like like the best out of all the stuff. And even though like a lot of people that know me really well, I I think of worst case scenario all the time. I've gotten like way better at it, but and I would dwell on stuff and whatever. But I think at that era, that's when it started kind of changing my mindset of becoming a better person. Like what can I didn't know I was being an asshole or whatever. And
That's an
there's definitely
interesting.
things that I've been an asshole through life, but I wasn't trying to do it on purpose. Like I never would be a
Yeah, your
dickhead on
intent
purpose.
doesn't match up with like your behavior. That's interesting to think about. Is because like because you're not living, I don't know, consciously, or you're not realizing that you are being an ass. Because like you can be in your mind perfectly reasonable and making sense, but in everybody else's perception of it, it's like you're a dick. And if you
Well,
don't like even realize
that's the God honest truth. Because like I had a really close friend come up to me, and I might have brought this up in our last thing, but I had a really close friend like bring something up to me, and I was just like, dude, it killed me when he told me, but I was just like, I just sat there and thought about it. But he stood by my side and had my back all the way through it, and was like, damn, those are the people that if you don't have those kind of friends, get them, because if
yeah,
they're gonna call you out and then stand by your side through all that stuff, because like you can be at a crossroad in life, and when you get like either a bad scenario or somebody brings something up like that, you can continue straight down that path and keep living how you're living. That's fine, but you're going to continue to keep bumming people out, or the same shit's going to happen, and those people are eventually going to walk away from you if you're not going to make any. It doesn't mean you need to be a different person completely. It's just like, damn, I didn't even know I was doing that. I think that's what it's always been. It's like I had no idea that I was doing certain stuff, and when it was finally brought to my attention, it was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Damn, I bummed a
yeah,
lot of people out, and I
yeah,
was like, so I always tried to put my best foot forward and take a left or a right, or
yeah.
it's very
There's
rare that I kept going down that same road, because there's only been a couple times where like some stuff was brought up and I'm like, nah, I'm really doing the right thing. And I was right those times,
yeah,
because I really look at everything kind of more like common sense wise. I'm not the smartest person in the world by any means, like with book smarts, but common sense wise and kind of street knowledge kind of stuff. Like, I'm, reading who people are, I've been pretty good at most of that stuff. So
yes, sir.
sometimes you got to sit there and think about it. Even when somebody brings something up, you might be going the right path. It's not always the right thing when somebody else says it.
That is a really good homie who can call you out, but then still be there for you as like you're kind of working on it. And it's not like you're gonna next day become a different person, but if the homie can see a step in the right direction, at least acknowledging it, then that's good stuff. That's
Well,
good.
dude, you're never going to snap your fingers after a person tells you that. You're not going to snap your fingers and go and just become that,
Yeah, I'm
go
fixed.
that other way. That's like literally impossible. It takes time, like, and when that's said, it's just like, it could be even a barrage of stuff. And it's like, don't sit there and work on all 10 of them at once, because you'll go nuts. Like you'll seriously go insane. And even if you're working on one thing at a time, you'll work on that one thing. And that one thing might make you nuts. Just move on to the next thing and come back to that. And
What comes to mind when you think about this for yourself? Like, who's the homie, and what were the things that you didn't realize you were doing?
man, it's a lot. It's just like life scenarios. And it's like, if no one ever brings anything up, I think, like, I've always heard, like, from after people meet me, they're like, oh, you just were intimidating, and I didn't want to talk to you, or I didn't want to approach you with this or do that. And I laugh, because like after people meet you, like, oh, you're the nicest person in the world. I don't know if I just have like that look of intimidate. I'm not trying to intimidate anybody, but I always have crazy stuff in my mind. I'm very driven, and especially when I'm on the job. I think this has happened a lot of times when I'm a. You get two different people with me. Like if we're just chilling, hanging out, and having a good time, and we're at a party or something, or just hanging out with the homies, like that's a different Nate than you'll get when I'm on the job. Because when you're running 20 guys on a job, and you've signed contracts saying that, like, hey, if you screw this job up, you're going to be $2.5 million in the hole, which I don't have $2.5 million.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, my life's over if I screw this job up, and I might as well, like, go to some foreign country and never show my face again. So
A little bit more intense
there's,
version of yourself.
yeah, it's just like when you're on, in a job scenario like that, I always took my work super seriously. there's just a different side of me like with that stuff. And I think there's people like fans, I think, I don't know, it's weird because more people probably know me as a builder than a rider. And I would have a fan come up to me like at X Games or something when we were doing that job, and there's just so much weight on your shoulders, like not just to make sure like the course is safe and everything's right, and you're tending to all these things and paying attention to all this stuff. And a fan's like, "Yo, Nate," and I even had a dude come up to me like later on and go, "Man, you were an asshole the first time I met you." I'm like, "Oh, damn! Like, what did I do? I don't even know." And he told me, and I'm like, right away, I'm like, "Yeah, I get it, man. It's hard. Probably had a bad day that day, and there was things that needed to happen, and I was tending to, and maybe
Yeah.
I only got 5 minutes of sleep, or maybe that was the day I was up for um, 48 hours straight because we were tearing. I don't know. It's like, I'm sorry, but that's usually
It's
not me. But when I'm on the job and things are going on, things happen, and I'll apologize, but that's who I am on those jobs.
a
So
lot of
it's
like, dude, some people have that where it's just like no matter what, no matter how stressed they are, they're chill and super nice to everybody. But for most people, I feel like it's a conscious effort to be like, oh, this person's saying hi because they know who I am. Let me make them feel special. But it's like sometimes you're just thinking about other shit and you can accidentally be an
yeah,
asshole.
and to me, I don't remember the scenarios. Like that's the problem. It's like this this sucks, but it's like I was just like, it's Christmas time, and I was just with my parents and my kids. My mom's trying to show me a card game, and it was a really easy one where my 9-year-old is playing this game and he's learning it, and it's like there's three separate piles of cards, and I pick up the cards, look at them, and set them down. But the idea was to remember what you had, and then you can only, I don't even know what this game's called. And I pick up the next set of cards, and I just immediately start getting mad because I don't remember what I just picked up. I set those down, and I'm like, and I just stopped. I was like, hey, I can't play this game. And my mom's just like, why not? Because I'm gonna get pissed off. And she's like, what? And she just laughs at me. And I'm like, well, that pisses me off even more because now and it sucks because I got to put myself in check because people don't, my mom doesn't get it, and other people don't understand, but I got to put myself in check. It's like, all right, that fuels my fire more because I got picked on and in high school, and it's like you're laughing at me being dumb and can't remember stuff. Like that's immediately what I go to,
Yeah.
and it's so stupid, and I gotta laugh at myself. But I mean, I start seeing red, and that's when I know I'm like, yeah, I just need to stop, and that's where I try to calm myself down, because if I keep going down that path, I'm gonna get angry, and it's nobody else's fault other than my own.
Yeah, and that's it exactly. It's just like witnessing it, and that's because like you go your whole life without even witnessing it. You're just like fully living in that emotion of like seeing red. But if you can just see yourself doing it, you might not be able to change it, but you can at least like realize that it's happening and
Uh,
chill
it
back.
makes me more angry because like I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm so childish, like, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I need help in that respect, and but I got to be able to laugh at myself, but it's good to be self-aware of it because, after so many situations in my life, I am self-aware of like those types of things, and I know what some of my triggers are, and I live a way happier life because of it, and
Yeah.
it's the knockouts and all the concussion things. It's a blessing and a curse because I used to be, pissed off so much because of that, and I'd get angry like that that I couldn't remember things. But I don't know, tomorrow I'll forget about it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to live. It's very zen.
Yeah.
There is here and now. So I was looking when I looked it up. It said 2003 was like when this
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, the
this kind of
the
chapter
T1
was
thing.
happening. Yeah. What I found was you were leaving the T1 World Trip. You had to leave the T1 World Trip in May 2003 after a severely broken tibia, and then came home and had
Yeah,
emergency
I had
surgery.
emergency. I had two surgeries at once because I was having a lot of problems with my ankle still. I had like bone spurs on it. Like any time that I even like bent my foot a little bit, and so this was my second surgery. I was going in on my ankle, but it was also I had a spiral fracture of my fibula, and when I went in, I told the doctor, I was like, "Hey, my ankle's still wasted." And he goes, "Yeah, I looked at that on the X-rays, and." So that was like, double surgery on top of that, and they fixed my ankle this time, which was awesome. And then I have a plate and 7 screws in my stuff, and yeah, it was that sucked, like whatever injuries happen, but just on top of that, you're laid up, and then basically you get a call that you're kicked off a T1, and it was like the weight just and the turmoil that I inside was just like I couldn't believe it. It's
I bet.
thought these dudes were my best friends, and yeah, it was hurt. I was hurt bad, man, and I think
How long were you
that
out?
was that was the hardest situation I've probably ever dealt with in my life until recently. And if I wouldn't have dealt with that situation, I probably wouldn't have been ready for what happened 3 or 4 years ago to me. And it's every one of those kinds of situations that happens in life gets you ready for something else.
Yeah, just you survived another one. Then it's on to the next one. It's like inevitable. Something else is gonna happen. It's just how you deal with it.
Always does, man. It's life, and it's
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for all those things happening, and it, it sucks sometimes what happens in life, but like I don't have a regret about it. It was either meant to happen, and it just the way it played out, and you can't change anything about it. You can't go back, and it's fine, man. It's just I'm here now, and I'm going forward. I'm not trying to live on that past. So
Fuck yeah. Yeah, that's very, very wise. First ads of 2025. Let's go. This episode is brought to you by Burn Slow. Go to burnslow.co and get yourself some of that butterfly stuff. They just came out with a collaboration with Sunday Bikes, and it's pretty fire. And I'm grateful for the fact that they support the show. So we'll keep it short and sweet. Burn Slow is tight. This shirt is good. Adam Roy's a brilliant graphic artist. I don't know words. And yeah, like I said, grateful. So burnslow.co, no promo code. Just go buy some stuff. In today's digital world where we're all connected, but we're not really, it's very important that we keep our in person institutions alive, like your local bike shop. And Arizona's best local bike shop is Unity Ride Shop. They sponsor a bunch of local riders. They have all the selection that you could possibly ask for, and they'll probably work on your bike for free if you're a BMX homie. But don't tell them I said that. Yeah, I'm grateful that Unity's been a part of this operation for quite some time. I'm looking forward to doing more stuff with them in the future. And yeah, shout out Unity. Go to unityrideshop.com or just go to 43rd Avenue in Bethany Home and check out the store. This episode is brought to you by Dance Comp. Dance Comp is the world's largest BMX online mail order, and they've been a part of the BMX world for quite a long time. I can't believe they've sponsored this show for over a year, so happy 1 year anniversary, I believe. I think. And if you ever need bike stuff, go to Dance Comp. Go order some tubes in bulk right now so that you have some tubes to give out to the boys. Yeah, thanks, thanks Dance Comp. Send me a script and I'll read it. Back to the show. Um, so how long were you out for this double surgery, and like what kind of comes after that?
man, it sucks because like you have doctors. I mean, anytime I've had the surgeries I've had have been pretty gnarly. But anytime like you have a surgery like that, like yeah, you're gonna have problems walking. You won't run ever again. And that my answer was just like get fucked,
Yeah.
because like I don't care. I'm going full steam ahead as soon as I get out of this, and I'm going to like I mean because that after that surgery, it was crazy because they said that I was going to have major problems like recovering after this. So soon as I got my cast off, I was supposed to go to some therapy center, and it was 5 miles from my house. So I rode my BMX bike there 5 miles, and I get there and I'm like waiting in the waiting room, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here for therapy, whatever. And they're just, "All right, okay, we'll get on the bike." And I just see them having coffee and like not really paying attention to me. And I'm like, do I have to get on the bike? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I just rode 5 miles here. They're like, no, you didn't, because like you're not going to be able to do that. And I'm like, I got to ride 5 miles home too.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, and they went and looked at my bike, and I have BMX bike sitting in the waiting room, and they're just like, what the hell? I'm like, yeah, I'm like, let's go. I'm ready to do something else. And they were like, rolled their eyes and were so bummed because they're like, they're gonna have coffee and just sit and bullshit
Yeah.
while I'm like riding some stationary bike. I'm like, no, I'm like ready to go. And they put me through like nothing. I thought it was nothing, and I rode home 5 miles, and I'm like, all right, I'm not doing that. I'm not going back to that place because they're not going to help me. And luckily, I think Woodward was starting in like a couple weeks, and I went for pre-camp, and I was kind of like, I was hurt, but I could like walk and start working. But the reason I was stoked that Woodward was starting is they have like these physical trainers they hire through the year, and they've probably helped me. This girl Misty like helped me more than like anybody, and also this guy Kurt. Kurt and Misty were like the head trainers there, and man, I'd always come in with the craziest stuff, and I mean, like I dislocated my rib cage, the bone from the cartilage one time, and I'm like, I want to keep riding, but like, what do I need to do? And they're like, Jesus Christ, like you got to slow down is what you need to do. But like the athletic trainers, that's their gig. It's not like a regular like therapist where they're only going to do so much for like the normal person, and
Yeah.
it's like these athletic trainers and the like the athletic like personal trainers and stuff, they go the extra mile because they know we're not going to quit, and they'll always get us back on our feet. So
It's a different level.
I suck at running and whatever, but I pushed through all the injuries I've had where doctors said there's no way you're going to be able to do this again, and I've not been even close to where some of my friends have been at, where they've had to like relearn to walk and
Yeah.
all those kinds of things. So I've been fortunate at the stuff I've hurt, but pushed past a lot of the pain and agony through it, and listen to what they say, but your body's also going to tell you like, yo, whoa, you did too much.
Easy, easy. So
Yeah.
yeah, shout out Misty. That's dope. Like for that one in particular, do you remember any of I'm just curious about like what kind of stuff that Misty would do that the other place wouldn't. I mean, obviously, just
Well, it's
telling me
like
to stand on a stationary bike is
both
crazy.
Misty and Kurt. They were like they literally worked for different like universities and things like through like during the school year. But like they came to Woodward, and um, but they understood athletics. They understood like, hey, I want to get back in the game. Where like a regular trainer is, they're going to be like, hey, you just need to be able to move this and do this and whatever. And I would ask like, is it going to hurt me if I do this, or like, can I go all the way with it? They're just like, you're not going to be able to go all the way. They just would always say no, where, hey, Misty, like I said, I got that quote from Misty, your body's going to tell you when you overdo it,
Yeah.
because there was like a day I remember with my ankle, I started working on it, and she's just like, hey, where were you yesterday? I'm like, remember you told me like your body's going to tell you to overdo it. I overdid it. And so that day I only did pool workout stuff where it was like less evasive on my body. So they think they have all these different tricks and crazy stuff. Like, and if you have the tools such as like all the bands and like, I mean, it could be just like different things to stretch your foot on, like angles and incline things and whatever. And you use different weights and different like bands, and like if you have a pool available, especially with like an ankle injury, you can sit there and so I'd get in the pool twice a day and like walk and just do all the whatever exercises they told me
Yeah.
to do, and dude, I was back on my bike in half the time.
Hell yeah. They're magicians, man. I love it. I'm curious about that whole process because it's like it is your body doing the work, but it's knowing what to have your body do to, get better. So I think that shit's interesting.
Well, dude, 100%. I mean, a lot of people like, oh, this hurts to do this. Dude, the more you like have that mindset and you don't like overcome that mindset, oh, well, it hurts a little bit to do this, so I won't do it as much. Yeah, the pain's there. I've never taken a painkiller for any of these injuries ever. And the thing is, yeah, it hurts. It's like, but I feel like the pain tolerance that I have, if I were on those painkillers, I actually wouldn't know what's hurting me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like where I'm like, oh yeah, that hurts pretty bad. I wouldn't be able to like tell, and maybe I would hurt myself more if I couldn't feel anything. And
Yeah.
to me, like give me the pain, because I don't like love it by any means, but it either like wakes you up and go, hey, don't do that again, kind of thing is kind of how I'm like, I'd never want to get hurt again because this really sucks, like
Yes.
rehabbing this stuff. But I could like physically feel all of it, and I don't know what it's like to be on the painkillers because when I broke my face on that state college gap,
Yep.
that's the only painkiller I've ever done in my life because they wouldn't let me leave the hospital. They're like, no, you physically, we will not release you unless you do this
Huh.
pain pill because we're taking you off of whatever they had on my surgery. And they said I wasn't going to be able to handle it. And I took it and it was like the worst 6 hours of my life.
Because of the high of the painkiller, not because of the pain.
No, it's because of the painkiller. I couldn't think
Yeah.
straight. And I was like, I literally hated life. Like couldn't wait till like the thing like went away and the feeling of it went away. And when it did, I was like, oh God, thank you. Who gives a shit about the pain? Because that was way worse,
Yeah.
but I
There's
know
something
there's
so
people that are the opposite of that and they like that feeling. It's just I don't.
that numbed out. I mean, I personally I love it. I'm not proud of loving it, but it's a very interesting because I think like without it, you are much more in tune with what's happening. Like it's when you do them, it's more of like an escape and just I'll deal with it later. And it's dude, just speaking about the body and like how much you can come back from. Like right now, I'm trying to work on my ankle mobility. Like I want my foot to be able to come up higher. And so just seeing small progress over time is pretty fucking awesome. Same with like
Do you
flexibility.
have like bone? Do you know if you have bone spurs? Like
I don't know, but I know.
say this, there's the top of your foot. Like I
Yeah.
had a bone spur coming up from my foot and one coming the other way. And when my thing would bend together, it was like two unicorns hitting each other.
Ugh. Yeah.
So I physically couldn't make my foot come up at all
Did you
because
work?
it was just completely stopping.
Yeah. What happened with that?
Well, I had a surgery on it and they cut it out and
Sheesh.
they cut part out of my heel because the same thing was going on in my heel. And then I was still having problems with it. And then when I broke my leg on the T1 trip, they cut more out and it finally fixed it.
Wild. So then you went from like not being able to move your foot at all to being able to like
Yeah.
fully flex.
Like,
It's
dude, I was riding with my heel on the pedal. That was like the only way that I could ride because like if my foot was on the pedal and it went like that at all, I was in agony and my ankle was swollen for like a week.
woof, dude. That's gnarly. I don't like the sound of that at all. That sucks.
Oh, it was the worst, man. It's like, and the reason I probably said this the last time, I think I talked about it, but the reason I even went to get the first surgery, I always used to wait to get surgeries, like because I'm like, oh, I know this is hurt, but I'll wait until I hurt something else. I just get two surgeries at once.
Yeah.
So
Two for one
so
step.
stupid. And the reason that I got my ankle surgery is I was I don't know, I was pointing it down the mountain at might have been Holiday Valley or something. And there was a toe side turn. And I couldn't really do toe side turns because like you're on your toe and it started, whatever. And there was like braking bumps at the bottom, like going into the lift. And I was like pointing it down the hill. It was probably going easily 55 miles an hour. And I started hitting the braking bumps and on my toe edge, and then my ankle just gave out, and I cartwheeled going like 55 miles an hour and got
Oh,
knocked out.
dude.
So I cartwheeled probably, I don't even know how many times. I just know I went over like 3 or 4 times, but however many times you cartwheel going at 55.
Yeah. It's too many times.
Yeah, and I was just like, holy shit. And I was done the rest of the day. And my friend, I'm like, I keep snowboarding, it's fine. I don't even know where I'm at right now. And then I went and got an appointment and got the surgery on my ankle, and they were shitting. They were just like, dude, you have the ankles like 75-year-old dude. What'd you do? I'm like, life.
I like bikes.
Yeah, bikes and snowboards. That's
When was that?
whatever.
When was that surgery? We were talking about your double surgery in 2003, but when did you get that ankle one?
That was man, that had to be a year or two before that because my ankle was still screwed after that. It was probably like 2 years before that. Yeah, I was wasted. And I mean, dude, try filming video parts where like every time you land on anything, or if you land with your heel not on the pedal, you hurt yourself every single time.
Yeah,
And
even
the
landing.
thing is, the more that you keep hitting that and hitting it and hitting it, that bone spur is probably just growing bigger every day.
Yikes. Yeah. Fucking A. Well, you got the surgery. It's funny, dude. I'm thinking about like being younger and being like, yeah, but it'll fix itself, and then not realizing it fucking
Yeah,
does.
no, bro, not at all.
Shit, to be young and dumb. I mean, I still feel pretty dumb, but I ain't young no more. uh, okay, so chronologically, 2003, 2004, off T1. What comes next?
Um, Man, it's like I had a bunch of offers, like not a bunch, man, but I had a couple other like offers, and I literally wasn't into it, you know. Then it's a couple people. I mean, pretty good bike companies, you know, and I just was like, no, it's just not something I wanted to do. It's just like I was so stoked on being on Etnies and T1. That's like that was pinnacle for me, you know. And it's like I don't want to just jump wherever and go wherever. It's just I never rode my bike to begin with to be like on companies making money. That's just that, that wasn't me. Yeah, it's awesome. It's seriously like the best thing in the world, but that was never my goal. You know, it's like I looked at it this way. I'm building ramps. My career keeps exploding with the ramp building thing, whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like if I'm on a company or not. Yeah, it'd be rad to be, involved with the company and but I just want to ride my bike. You know, it's like I want to love riding my bike for what it is. Once it becomes a job to you, especially when it was never a job to you from the beginning, you know. But I think the years on T1 and stuff like that needs like it's not, of course, like we need to produce and do stuff for them, but it's not like being on one of the bigger companies where you're on Specialized or GT or something where you have like strict contracts. It was more just like I'm stoked to be on T1. It was like kind of a handshake thing,
Yeah, yeah,
and it was so rad. And it's like, it's, I don't know, it was just felt like more like family, more than anything. So it's not like I wanted to like walk into some other company and I wasn't looking for anything. I honestly I wasn't over it. I was going to keep riding, of course, and I started getting offers and, multiple times from the same company a few times. And I'm just like, no, no, I don't want to do this, and I think like that's right when I met Matt Bischoff, and everybody calls him Red, or sorry, the Beard,
yeah.
because there's a Red Beard from Cleveland, but they called him the Beard, and I didn't really know him, just heard of him, of course, like Cincinnati, like pro and local, and just like legendary dude, just always doing rad stuff, and he asked me to be a part of like the Red Bull backyard build off. And he's like, I really want you to be a part of this thing. Cool, whatever. And
Sick.
he had this bike company called Failure Bikes.
Yep.
And it's like, man, I love you and love what you're doing for BMX. And it's seriously sick. And I would love to ride one of your bikes, and he was like, oh, hell yeah. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, I'm like going to be riding for Failure. I was just messing with him because like, he's like super funny. And he's just like, man, that's the first person that ever said like they were going to be on Failure. I'm like, dude, I'm just joking. But honestly, I just love to ride one of your bikes, like it's, it'd
That's
be
hilarious. Just
a
I'm
treat,
hey, what's up? I'm on your team now.
and I was joking with him when I said that, but he literally put me on the team. Then I'm like, dude, no, I'm dead serious. He's like, no, I want you on Failure, and I'm like, awesome, but I just want to ride one of your bikes. Like, I don't want to have any duties or whatever, but anytime that you ever need anything, like whatever, I'll help you with anything you want because I honestly think you're one of the raddest humans on the planet.
Fuck yeah.
And I think in between T1 and Failure, I called the Solid guys, and I had a bike made, and I paid for the bike, and I think I actually screwed up, and like they were only charging me like $100 for the bike, and I think it was like a couple years went by, and I forgot to pay for the bike, and then I eventually saw like Aaron somewhere, and I paid for it, and I was like, hey, I totally spaced on this and whatever, but Solid made me a bike, and the thing was freaking awesome, like seriously, like I mean that was more my path of what I wanted to do was just like ride people's stuff that like I truly believed in,
For sure.
and
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be on any team, but I loved what Matt was doing when I met Matt, and I told him like, dude, like hands down, I would ride one of your bikes whenever. And then it was funny because he ended up giving me a pro model frame, and I'm like, I don't deserve this at all, like not even close to deserve this. Like no, I don't really. He's like, no, you're gonna get a frame, and I'm like,
A muerte.
yeah, and it was the Muerte frame, and it was awesome, But I also at the same time, it's like when you're a rider, you kind of real. I mean, I realized that I was like on the end of my career, like with injuries and all these things going on in my head. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, Matt, I really don't deserve this at all, and that's where, and it's funny that bottle opener go back a frame.
This one.
Well,
Oh
yep,
shit.
right there.
Bottle
So
opener.
the bottle opener is what Mike Laird uses on his frame. Like he cleaned it up a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's funny because like when I got a Laird frame made, I was like, "Hey, I got a design for the chainstay. Would you do it?" And he goes, "I don't know. What is it?" And I showed him, and he goes, "Does it even work?" I'm like, "Yeah, I had it on my bike. Like here's," and I gave him the drawings and stuff, and he ended up doing it.
Sick.
And he was like pissed if he's like, Wessel, what the I just totally laughing. He's like, oh, he's like, what? And I wanted three colors. He's like, I only do two colors. And he's like, all these fucking kids are gonna want three colors now. And he was like so mad at everything that he did for me. And so there was like three things he did on my bike he would like never do. And now like the bottle opener is a thing on his website that you can choose. So it's
Sick.
like, and it's funny that I'm wondering how many. We'd have to ask him. It'd be hilarious. Like how many bottle openers were like done on bikes, and it's like I don't want or need any credit for it at all. I just he uses them now because so many people asked about it. They saw my frame. They're like, dude, I want that. Is that an option? And he was like mad, but now he has to like
Yes.
put them on his bike. So
So
it's
what's the deal? I'm looking up. Like I know Mike Laird. At least I know the name over the years. And what is the? What are you saying? Does he work for Solid? Is that a stupid
no, no,
question?
no.
He
So
makes his own
Mike Laird does his own company called Laird Frames.
Laird frame. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Mike
Yeah.
Laird, he's seriously he's in Dave Muir's video game,
Yep.
local hometown hero like in Greenville. Owns a fabrication company, but he does Laird frame, and so many people like he's like building titanium bikes and like I don't know. He's like probably one of the best TIG welders on the planet, man. I
Sick.
couldn't say enough stuff about like good stuff about him. He one of my favorite humans on the planet. He talks like tons of shit, and he's awesome. He listens to metal.
I
He is
like
going through his emo phase right now. I'm
it's
joking
emo
about that
for a
because like
surgeon. It,
it's funny because like we'll like joke with each other like on Instagram all the time, and I think people probably think we hate each other, but it's we totally love each other. If I ever have like any welding question, like yo, I'm about to TIG weld this, what do I do? And he's like immediately is just this mountain of information because I mean to me I don't have the seat time that he has,
right.
and my eyes are messed up and all this stuff. So it's like if I ever have like a metallurgy question or welding question, it's Mike Laird because like he's been through it all and he could like answer it enough that I could get it done, and
That's
he's
something else too that's new to me is you just said seat time. He's got more seat time. That means more time up. Like I can put together that means more time welding, but I've
so
never.
I will say that a lot, like like podcast wise, like how much seat time do you have in the podcast seat,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
got
like
some hours
once
there.
that's what I mean. Once you get a certain amount of seat time, you start coming into your own and like figuring your own stuff out. Where your first couple years, you're a certain way, but as you evolve, that seat time helps more than anything.
Fuck yeah, man! You've got some seat time and some building.
Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
so I'm we're at a fork in the road. I kind of want to go into the build career, but like maybe finish up failure, and then Mike Laird brings up the video game. Like, what was it like? Let's go there right now. I want to know what it was like to get in a video game.
It was crazy because I think all those video games happened at the same time. So I'm like homies with Dave. I'm homies with Matt Hoffman. I'm homies with Jay Muron. And I hope that just because I'm homies with somebody that that's not why I'm in some video game. But we heard about Dave's game coming out, and Dave's local crew. There's only so many guys you're going to put in that game. Everybody's getting paid, whatever. And it's
Mhm.
like there's no way I'm ever going to be in a video game. It's like it's not happening. It's just like that's for like those guys, and that was always my thought. It's like that's never going to happen. I get a call one day, from Jay Muron, and he's like, "Yo, Wessel dog." He's like calls me Nate dog, or whatever.
Oh,
And and I'm like really good friends with him. Like traveled all over the world with that dude. Like it was funny because I used to when I was a videographer for props, I was like getting hired like side contracted for like Schwinn and all these different companies to go out and like film Jay and Dave, and
Fuck
you
yeah.
know,
I
it
didn't know
like
that. You were a videographer? That's badass.
I guess we missed that whole thing.
Yeah, what the fuck? A whole separate career. Cool.
It is a whole separate career, dude. I've done like everything, man. But that happened before. That happened in college. Like that's why I went on Roadfools, because I got hired to go on Roadfools as a camera guy.
Huh. What the fuck? That's amazing.
Yeah. So like, when the reason that happened, which story you want me to finish first?
Good. Let's go with Roadfools and videography. Let's go.
And no more video game.
We'll come back to the video game.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, it's funny. The girl I'm dating right now, she has a Hi8 camera, and I've not been able to find a Hi8 camera anywhere. So I'm about to open up all my 8mm tapes from like right when I started riding BMX.
Yes.
Riding with Sean Dorton, Drake Miller, Tom Barry, all these like Aaron Bostrom, all these like legendary dudes like
That's fucking
in
awesome.
in the world of BMX and building and riding and whatnot. So I haven't looked at them yet, but I haven't been able to look at them since college.
Yeah.
So I have all these like 8mm tapes. I was just a videographer, not professionally, but I filmed everything as like Ryan Dunn and the Jackass guys.
Yeah.
Like we filmed everything, and we're like doing all this like totally stupid stuff. There's so much bad stuff that we did on these tapes because like we're kids, and my parents were just like, "What are you doing out till 1 and 2 in the morning every night?" I'm like, "All I do is ride my bike," and they just didn't believe me at all. They're like, "You're drinking and doing drugs." I'm like, "I'm riding BMX, and I have like this footage on this camera to show you that's all we're doing."
Yep.
I mean, we were smashing stuff and we're doing stupid stuff, but we weren't smashing like, things. We'd drive by an area where there's a dumpster and there's like, why is this toilet sitting out here? We just like set it on the car window and we'd be going like 80 miles an hour and we'd smash it,
Yes, dude.
Just totally stupid stuff that we probably shouldn't have done. But we have all that stuff on 8mm, like tons of crazy stuff. And
you got to get that.
So I was filming all through then. So as like the camera technology started getting better, I'm like, I got a VX1000 before I knew what a VX1000 was.
Sick.
My dad goes over to Japan for like, it was a Japanese version. So I don't even think it hit the United States market yet. I have a Japanese one with the Japanese menus and everything.
Yes.
And so my dad brings us back from a trip and he's just like, got this new sick camera. And I'm like, what? So like I'm filming BMX stuff on like the sickest, most iconic camera.
Without even knowing it. Yeah.
Without even knowing it. And that's when I started filming for props, because like they would do a section every year at Woodward. They'd only come for a couple days or a week sometimes, but they'd be out there for a couple days. Luckily, if they were there for a week, it was very rare. But so there would be a segment that was like a couple minutes long. It would be like Woodward and in props. And when they saw me there, they saw me filming with my VX. They're like, "Dude, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm filming." They're like, "No, dude, like, would you want to like film and like do stuff for props?" And I'm like, "Are you joking?" I was like, they're like, "Yeah, it's like we see like what you do and whatever, just film and we'll put a section together. This is what you'll get paid per edited minute." And so I handed them over the tapes at when I don't even think it was the end of summer, but I handed them over the tapes like, "Hey, we need to do this section." They called me up. They're like, "Hey, we can't pay you what you said." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" They're like, "Dude, you have like an hour of bangers." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah. Give me the money.
What's the problem? They're like, "Dude, it's so long. We have to put like," they had to break it up in 2 different videos because it was so long. Each section was like 10 minutes long, and it was insane. Back to like Jay Muron, that's like where, I don't know if you ever saw like him try 360 to the ledge.
No.
It was a 16-foot pyramid, tranny to tranny pyramid, and he like alley-oop three'd into this ledge and like grind it down it, and just to get the feeling for it so he could try it to the rail in the center of the pyramid. So he literally three'd across the 16-foot long pyramid to rail.
Yeah. What would I look up for that?
Oh man, it was in a props video, but I'd say Jay Muron 360 to rail. Like he didn't pull it, but there's 2 like where he like basically stayed on his bike. He took a hard slam on one, but like landed in feeble and like nose wheelied off the rail or whatever. It is mental, dude.
Is this looking promising? Is this the area?
Um,
No, this seems.
no, that's like the
See
how-to
this, and that's
video.
11 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the how-to video. I'm pretty sure. But I mean, this it's got to be in a best of. But I mean, it was a section, and I mean, there was two sections, like section 1 and 2. But I mean, they like highlighted that like 360. It was mental.
Yeah,
And
I'll have to.
I
I'll find it
honestly,
and put it in here. That's what we'll do.
I honestly don't think anybody had tried anything close to that. Like, I mean, people have done like a 360 or 270 to like a feeble or a
Yeah,
grind, like not like gap 16 feet to it, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's insane.
And Jay's a mental case. And when he just the fire in his eyes, that's what I always loved about him, man. It's like the fire in that dude's eyes. And he's the Canadian beast straight up. And you
Oh,
just see like how driven, and he just look at something like never getting that dude's way. When he puts his head down, going at something, he gives zero fucks like right before he does it. And he just goes, he's all in. And it's unbelievable, like anything I've seen that guy do. But I mean, that was just like a huge highlight. And, just thinking about the things that I've even filmed, because
right.
that's kind of where it started. Nobody knew me. I mean, I rode and stuff, and I didn't know what I had. I mean, I was looking at things a little bit differently than a lot of people, and I wasn't doing all the same tricks as everybody else. I just like I just would try weird, different stuff all the time, and get stoked off of certain people's riding styles and try
Yeah.
to imitate it a little bit, but my own way.
I can't
And
believe that you were a filmer, bro. That's fucking awesome. That's crazy that I missed that.
I
And
I
there's something special about filming something like you're saying, Jay, in the
yeah.
360 cap to grind, but it's just like there's something magical about being the filmer for something special like that, and you'll never forget it. I've been a part of some fucking awesome shit just by pointing the camera, and it's
Well,
value.
dude, like it's hard to. I mean, I guess it's crazy because like if you go back to like Schwinn stuff, and I wasn't on all their things, but I mean, there's a lot of the props like Roadfools. The Roadfools that I was on, there was like 4 Roadfools I went on. I filmed half of that video.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah.
And I started helping edit it. Like I helped film and edit Roadfools Euro, because Rye let me on the editing bay, and he's just like, "This is too gnarly. Sit down, and I'll teach you." And I'm like, "Okay, I
It
have
was
no
amazing.
idea what I'm doing,"
Tell me about the
But
editing bay. What was it like to edit Roadfools? Like soft,
dude, it
do you
was nuts.
software? Where was it? Like, what was the dark room or something?
Um, Chris had like 2 different computer setups, and it was dark sometimes. We had light coming in there, but mostly it was like kind of dark. And basically like all I went out there for was to help log tapes. So I would come out and like anything that I filmed, he'd give me those first because I knew what was on them, and then you'd like document the tapes, and you would go through the whole thing, and from this time to this time, so when you were like imported into the computer, this is before the digital age, you're on mini DV, so you would document these things in between and like write them down. It's like, and you'd have these abbreviations for it. He's like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "Oh," and he goes, "That makes sense," And
Yep.
so we'd go through the whole thing, import it all, and it was like you'd only really put the banger and filler stuff that you would. And once you start realizing like how the road fools worked, you're like, "Oh, this would be a good filler comment thing," and you would label that and whatever. And so you basically like go through. And I started thinking about it filming wise because that's what I got hired on to Roadfools for. But it's funny, like the first Roadfools I went on as a filmer, but halfway through the trip, they had to fake my interviews because like they saw like we'd play the tapes the next day. Go, look who we did last night, because I'd go out and people started calling me Sergeant Wessel because I wasn't sleeping at all, film all day, and then when everybody was going to bed, I'd take like a small crew. If I say anybody doing a street ride, I just didn't really get to ride today, and
Sergeant
then
Wessel.
we'd go out and like street ride and find some crazy shit, and then we'd show it to Rye the next day, and he's like, "I can't believe you did that thing," and then all of a sudden they got together like, "Nate, all the shit you have to be like part of the video." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like you're going to be a character in Road Fools?" I'm like, "What?"
Hell
And
yeah.
so they like basically faked my interview, And because all the interviews were, I think, done at in the same location, same spot, so they set
Right.
my
Yeah.
interview up like halfway through the trip, did my interview as me as a character on the trip, and then from that point on, I was a character every single time I went on Roadfools. But same thing. I went on to film and of course ride, but I always looked at it as filming first. So if I was going to do something, I'd like try to log 2 tricks a day myself, and then I'd film the rest of the time.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. That's a cool origin story to get put on like that. And also just to be Sergeant Wessel, not sleeping, taking the homies out after a long, like a 10-12 hour day of filming everybody else, you still wanted to go ride
Oh,
for
dude, I was on fire, man. I just was like, there would be things that I just had like anxiety and anger in my life, and the only thing that would cure that is riding.
Yep.
So I didn't care if nobody wanted to go. I'm just going to go out anyways.
That's
You know,
Sergeant Wessel. Yes, sir. That's awesome.
not
Cool.
my choice of name there.
Yeah. Well, I think that that covers the Roadfools videography. Let's get back to the video game character. Dude, what a life you've had. It's fucking awesome.
I always forget like I'm in a video game unless it's so random because like somebody will start talking about video games or something, and I'm like, huh.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I was in a video game because I don't really play video games or anything.
Yeah.
And it's funny going, I was a character in a video game. Damn, they're like, what?
It's
And
insane.
yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird, But so Jay Muron asked me to be in this game, and I was like, okay. And he sends a contract out to me, and I like read over the contract, and it's horrible. It's like they own your likeness, all this, and it was for barely any money, but they own your likeness for however many years to come, or like 20. It was stupid. Like, and I called Jay. I'm like, this contract is insane. I can't sign this contract. It's like, and and I'm like, is this how I'm like, Jay, I hope you're making a shitload of money, but for what this is, and I explained a couple things to him. If I go do such and such a thing and am doing this, they own my likeness and they have nothing to do with it. I'm not signing something like that, that somebody owns my likeness like that when they're not even a part of the things that we're doing.
Smart.
No, thank you, and
Yeah.
I'm like, Jay, I felt bad, but I called him. I was like, I love you, Jay, and that's hands down my only opportunity to ever be in a video game, and I'm turning it down. That's stupid, but I did. I turned it down, and I didn't think I was, and I didn't even try to like, I was gonna try to hit the company. My dad's like, oh, just hit him up and rewrite the thing and ask for this, and I'm like, I don't even care. It's like, yeah, it'd be cool to be in a video game, but dealing with these corporate people and what this is, it's no thank you. Like for how this is written up, like I need a lawyer to read this. And because my dad understood it more than anything. And he goes, yeah, there's some wording in there that's so gnarly. And I'm like, no, thank you. So
Yeah.
I just like let that one go. And all of a sudden, like 3 weeks later, Matt Hoffman calls me. He's like, yo, Nate, what's going on? I'm like, yo, Matt, what's up, man? And always stoked to talk to Matt. And I've got to do all kinds of different things with him, different road trips, videography stuff. I helped build a lot of the CFB contests that, were all over the place. Built some stuff in his warehouse, all kinds of crazy stuff. Just have definitely done like many different things for a legendary human that's like given so much to BMX and to
Yes.
so many humans and all over the world, and he calls me up and he goes, I'm doing a video game and I want you to be in it. And I was just like,
Not again. Just kidding.
what is going on?
That's
What is going on? Like, how is this even happening? And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I hope the contract's not shitty because this would be like, and it was for Activision. So that was like the company that everybody talked about. They're like, it's Tony Hawk Pro Skater,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like the holy shit, Matt Hoffman Pro Biker was already out, number one. So
Yep.
this is Matt Hoffman Pro Biker 2 was coming out, and he's like, I want you to be in it. And I was like, okay, what's the deal? So they basically sent me a contract, and I didn't even redo anything. And the contract was legit. It was like 20 grand or some shit like that. I was losing my mind. Like,
Oh.
what? Like, yeah. And I mean, there was no like royalties or anything like that. But
Yeah, but still, that's fucking awesome.
for where I was at in BMX, dude, like I'm not some contest dude or even some big name guy. Like I was like, I can't believe I'm in this.
Yeah. It's
And
insane.
then they have us go on this road trip, and that's like what the game was based around, going on this road trip, and every level you like unlock, then it like unlocks like a riding thing we did on the trip. So like we went on this trip for like 2 weeks. It was so crazy every single day, and like partying with like Ruben and Kevin Robinson and Rooftop and Butcher and Thorn and anybody that's in the game. Like we're on this like road trip with them, just like going to like rock and roll stuff and just every night just riding and street riding. It was insane, dude. It
That's
just seriously,
incredible.
that was the first time I literally felt like a rock star
Yeah.
in BMX, and it's like it was rad. But I also like always look down on that stuff too, you know.
I want to know more about that trip, but I forget what Jay Miron's video game was. What was Jay Miron video game?
Man, I'm trying to think of the company that made that. It was it might have been the one that made the FIFA soccer game.
The Next Chapter is what it was called. Whatever. I don't. That's that's crazy interesting to hear that you had like a possible video game and then another one come around. Like Jesus,
Well,
dude.
dude, I mean, seriously, I didn't even really know why I was saying no. It's like, I mean, any kind of publicity at that time probably would have been good, but the things that I read, I'm like, man, this is it. It's not gonna, like I said, I didn't care about the money, but for what they were getting out of like owning somebody and their
Yeah,
likeness and like anything that they were involved with, they owned. I was like, that's not right,
it's
you know.
true.
And I literally is I just no, that's not right. I don't believe in that, and whatever. It's just it feels like they're taking advantage of me more than what it is. So I turned down my only opportunity to get in a video game. Little did I know that Matt was going to call me, and
That's incredible.
I in my career I've never really asked for anything, man. Other than failure bikes, I asked to be on failure bikes.
And even that you didn't ask. You said I am on.
Yeah, I was like, I'm joking, Matt, you know, and he's like, no, screw that. And but I never asked for anything in my career. Just like that stuff happened, and it was a wild ride, dude. I can't believe that, you know. I think if you have a positive mindset and you know, like you give back as much as possible, and of course it takes being a good rider. I think I always like look down on myself, like, oh, I suck, I can't do what any of these other guys do, but I didn't want to either. You know, I just wanted to do my own thing. I didn't know if it was good or not what I was doing, and hopefully it inspired somebody to get off their ass and go, you know, send a gap or you know.
Guaranteed. I know a couple dudes personally who are definitely inspired by you. I'm curious what you can remember about those first Hoffman BMX2 road trips. Like, I mean,
Dude, it's
just being the list of names first of all is insane, but what
yep.
pops into your mind when you think about that first trip?
One thing that was really cool, Matt asked me to come down, and this is actually pretty funny. I think it was the same time. So, you know, Dave and Halford.
No, I know Dave.
His name's Psycho. So Dave and Psycho Halford.
Yes.
He
Okay.
was like known for wearing this like full face helmet with no visor, and it was painted with like all these like teeth and stuff. But he
Okay.
rode for Hoffman, and dude, he was a his style, like that's like the epitome of, you know, like Fids. You know, God rest his soul, man. But Fids is the epitome of what BMX is on like that like core side of the scene, and
Yes.
on like the kind of the more freestyler, you know, superhero, like for me, like Psycho's the other guy, you know, where he's still not some like rock star dude, but he's like full ramp rider, just but he had the craziest style where he would do these like no handers and like touch his grab his forks and just do all kinds of weird, like super stylish, crazy stuff, you
So
know.
weird cat. Look at him. This.
Dude, he's one of the best. Like, and he's like in all the old videos, just doing wild stuff. And I mean, dude, he was one of the guys like creating stuff with Hoffman at the time, like peg grinds and you know, Swope and Hoffman and him. Just like there's the endless stuff those dudes did on street and ramp, and but that's the day and era that these guys are riding everything. They'll ride a curb, they'll ride you know, a grass bank, they'll ride quarter pipes and just like that do all the weirdest stuff in the world. And it's
It's
man,
beautiful.
it's yeah. And I love that dude more than anything. So he pretty much worked full time for Hoffman Bikes, rode for Hoffman Bikes, and I got asked to come down and like build some ramps and have the ramp setup done. So our first stop was at the warehouse.
Sick.
So basically, we'd go and start the road trip there at Hoffman Bikes, and then we'd like film in the warehouse and ride it at Hoffman and whatnot. And it was an honor to even go there and like build some stuff because I know some of the other builders that have gone there and look up to those guys too. So we created I mean, it wasn't like crazy what we did, but just made like a little setup. And I think Chase Hawk drove up from Austin to hang out. And I mean, he's pretty young at this point.
Yeah, I was just thinking
And
he's gonna be like 16, maybe.
yeah, and him and I had a game of bike, and he crushed me.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he's just like this Grom kid, and like people knew him and stuff, but he wasn't like a pro or anything by any means. He was an up and coming kid. He shredded, and
Yeah.
he hadn't done anything like super crazy yet. But the kid was dialed, and and he's just shitting. He's just like, I just beat Nate Wessel at a game of bike. I'm like, pretty much anybody can beat me at a game of bike. So I don't have many tricks under my sleeve. Yeah. But so we did that. And the thing, I think, I don't remember a lot of stuff, but Psycho had played, there's some metal station in Oklahoma that played, and he was playing the metal station. We're sitting there just like headbanging, nailing shit together or whatever. And next thing you know, something comes out of just Slayer song just played. And they're like, yeah, just saying Slayer's getting, they're getting sued because like two guys raped and killed some girl. And I'm like, oh, because of Slayer? Like, and that's why they were getting sued. They were trying to blame these kids.
They're
Did
trying
this
to blame metal music for fucking psychos.
no, they're trying to blame Slayer. But
wow.
like there was a Judas Priest went through all that stuff way back in the day, so they already like crushed all that stuff. So, and I'm like, that's like saying that I just like like Rain and Blood was just on. Oh, I just listened to Rain. I started firing the nail gun in the air. Like the Slayer just made me do that. And Big you know who Big Island is?
Yeah, Mike, Big Island
Yeah.
Mike. Yeah.
Mike Castillo. So I'm super good friends with Big Island. He worked for Hoffman Bikes too. And he was just sitting there laughing because I think he was in the room. And I was like, and so the rest of like the Hoffman tour, the whole thing, every time something was going wrong, sorry, Slayer made me do it, and we'd park in a parking lot and we were getting yelled at by, I don't know, the parking attendant and all this stuff. And he was freaking out. And I just roll up and go, I'm sorry, dude, Slayer made us do it. And I ride away. And like, so it was like saying this the whole trip. And then Big Island, he had a clothing company called Them. And he made me a pro model t-shirt. It just says Slayer made me do it. I'm like, kind of just like little kid writing. And then the sleeves said, fuck them, like down the sleeves.
That's incredible. Fuck. Let's see. I'm trying to find that shirt. Let's see.
I still have one of them, but I think I gave one to Fids actually at one point. Oh, I did because I have Fids Lord jersey from Bike 2000.
Lord, what is Lord? Man, there's so much shit I don't know.
Yeah, Lord Clothing is like a UK company.
Cool.
And it's got these like upside down crosses like on the sleeves. I was like, Fids, that shirt's so sick. And I was like, dude, I'll trade you shirts. And I had like one of the Slayer made me do it shirt, Slayer made me do it or whatever shirt. Gave it to Fids. He gave me his Lord jersey, and I made him sign it. And he's like, "Fuck you, Wessel! I'm not signing this." I'm like, "You're the only person I've ever asked for an autograph."
That's incredible, dude. Yeah, shout out Fids. That happened between us talking. Like that.
Yeah.
That just real recently. So
yeah, super bummer, man. I got to talk to him one last time, and oh god, I loved him, man. Every time that you go to England, it just anything I was doing over there. I mean, I went to England 22 times, and it's more than that now, but within a very small period, like within 10 years, I went 22 times or maybe less than that for backyard jams and all that stuff, and just was over there building ramps for the 70s guys, and Fids would help me every single time, man.
Rest in peace, man. I never got to cross paths with him, but he did seem fucking awesome from all the videos I saw.
He's the best, man. Like if you like I said, for me, what I believe BMX is, and the good times and the bad times, and just like the attitude, it's Fids. It's just that's straight up what I believe BMX is.
Yeah. I kind of lost my train of thought with you. Where were we? We were on
it was like video games, and it just took a bunch of directions, but this is all like the same time and era. So we were talking about the road trip stuff or whatever. So the first day there, and then kind of pinned it through the trip, but it's the trip was nuts, man. It's like we just went to really cool spots, and we kind of they already had like a schedule they wanted to hit, and you know, the places that they wanted to go. They wanted to go to Austin for sure, and like some of these other places. But we would talk about it, kind of almost like Roadfools a little bit. You'd talk about like where you think some good street spots were, and they had some places, but man, we went to some iconic spots with some just crazy stuff to ride, man.
Yeah, it seems it's what a cool memory to have. Just what the fuck? It's incredible because it's I mean, it's we talked about it in the last one where like Etnies Forward, for example, you don't know that it's going to be one of the most influential videos of all time while you're doing it. So like same thing with the video game, I'm sure. And that trip, I'm just like, this feels special, but and you had no clue of how big that game would
Yeah,
be.
and the only clue that you have, you're like, you hope that it's going to be like Tony Hawk's game, you know, where
Yeah.
it like crushes in that respect because it's good for everybody, you know, and like that means you get another game or whatever. But no, you don't know how big it's going to be, and it's um I still till this day I can't believe I'm in a game. I literally forget it. Like I won't even remember talking about this tomorrow. I'll remember talking that we were on the podcast, but that's just not in my brain at all. I don't think of that on a day to day. It just like randomly comes up. Like a year will go by, but then something will be what somebody will be talking about a game or oh yeah this and oh yeah
Oh yeah,
that's right. I was in a game. You
that's
know.
pretty cool. What a trip. Um, so you mentioned the like picking spots for road fools, and I think that's pretty interesting. Just like behind the scenes, what was the process, at least on the ones that you can remember, if you can, of like how it's planned out? How does planning a
Um,
road fools go?
I got a pretty funny story about this. This is actually pretty hilarious,
Hit me.
and who knows if this is how it really goes or not. I knew those guys pretty well, and you know, as going on the trips, we'd always like normally you just get an idea and try to. It doesn't matter what you do, you try to map it out. And hey, we were going to go here, but we would sit down and talk about it every night. And I mean, even from day one, hey, this is our route. What do you think? And some of these spots weren't explored. We knew about some things, and it's like, you know, and I just one time I told him this. I was like, listen, man, it's like I think we waste a lot of time by riding around. And, you know, there's times that like we go to spots and I mean we've got into it with locals too, where hey, we want to show you this. And like that's been really good sometimes, but it's been really bad sometimes too. And you know, I'm not looking for, you know, the normal spots
Yeah.
for myself. You
Right.
know, like take you know, this guy and this guy and this guy for sure. Take them to that rail spot and take them to this and whatever. But a lot of the stuff, you know, as a rider, for me, I don't want to go to somebody else's spot and
Yeah.
take, you know, what they did. I mean, there's spots that are iconic that gets done, and hey, don't do the same trick as them. Do this or
Yeah,
whatever.
but the
Cool.
Wessel spot is always around the corner from like the one that you go to, and you go explore in any places, you know?
Yeah, so you know, for me, like I don't like stealing other people's spots, but there's iconic places that it's rightfully so. Go for it because that spot's a skate park, you know,
Yeah.
and everybody deserves to ride that rad. Cool, you know. But to me, I was just always on this seek and destroy kind of mission, and I just wanted to find something that nobody's found, and whether that was like a curb cut you needed to hit and bonk a tree or whatever, you know. I wanted to see something that's never been done. So I don't care if somebody takes me to a spot. I'm not even going to ride it. I'm going to go somewhere else regardless. But that's just me. Those trips, I was there to film people. I
Right.
was there to find stuff for people, whatever. So I knew the guys that were going to do certain things, and I took crews out, and we found crazy stuff that had never been written every single time. And you know, that was like just so interesting to me and so rad. And it got to a point though where, hey, we're wasting a lot of time. We're finding things, but I think we could find way more if you guys would let me like take my own trip. They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I want to rent a van, and we ended up calling it the Sergeant Wessel road trip or whatever. I took like a van, and this is before Megatour. You realize that they stopped doing road fools and started Megatour, correct?
Yeah.
Well, this is why that happened. So basically, the idea was get a van where we don't have a tour bus, and go to these like cities that we want to go to, and like go seek them out. And hey, we might not get, like, we'll get some stuff, but basically this is a mission to go find stuff for Roadfools and see, like, oh man, we found a city that has like the whole city's a skate park. And then but go on this road trip and go, no, this is a dud, this is a dud. We found some stuff, but it's not Roadfools material. We checked this other stuff out on the way back. Holy shit, this is the route you should go.
Sick.
So
Yeah.
the
Scouting.
idea was just to like go and seek it out. And I didn't, but I was like, let's do a road trip out of it. But I just was going to go do it on my own. But I was like, or we could do it like this. And they're like, oh, if you put it together, we'll pay for the van. And I filmed it. And then basically I called the sponsors myself. And I had like smaller sponsors like bike shops and whatever give us some stuff just so we had wheels if somebody blew something up or
Yeah.
whatever. And I just put the whole thing together myself. We did it. Cost like props nothing. Cost them a rental van, and we made a cool trip out of it. And I just invited like super good friends. Drake Miller was on the trip, and Adam Banton. So we had like these like close friends on this trip. We went and all these rad spots, and basically that waterfalled into they saw like the possibilities. Like, dude, we can do Roadfools without even paying for it now.
Yeah.
Because we're just gonna like ask Etnies and these other companies. So I basically paved the way for Megatour to happen, and nobody probably knows that, whatever.
That's fucking awesome though. Yeah. I like that.
And I didn't think of Megatour. I was thinking about this a whole different way, but after doing that trip, it kind of opened everybody's eyes. And I don't know if Roadfools is coming to an end or not. After Tizio died, I didn't watch another Roadfools again, and it's just it hurt, man. It's Props and I parted ways like after that Wessel road trip because man, I was under the gun trying to edit the thing, and I was stayed up for 3 or 4 days straight,
Oof.
logging all the footage and editing as much as I physically possibly could. And I sent it to Rise like, dude, I didn't get this done. I'm going to Backyard Jam. I got to build. I haven't slept in 4 days.
Yeah.
And that he edited it, and he was mad at me that I didn't get it done. And it's like, dude, I'm not a video editor. I'm like,
Yeah.
I,
And just
I mean,
over.
I guess you're looking at me as a video editor, but I did as much as I could with building ramps and doing, I have so many things going on, and it's just like I'm a rider, I'm building ramps, I'm video editing, I'm filming the whole thing. I have everything logged. Over half the edit was already done. Everything's like sitting there ready to go. And then he like re-edited a couple things, probably because like I was delusional and hadn't slept for 4 days. It probably needed it to be re-edit.
Yeah.
But it was like personal stuff that I said about like really good friends, and they took a lot of stuff out, and I was, of course, butthurt, and just a learning experience for me. And I probably should have handled it differently, but I wrote him a letter. Like, I'm like, why am I editing this stuff and putting this much work into it when you're just going to change it? I'd rather not edit it. And I wasn't trying to talk shit. I was just being real. And then basically I never got invited on anything ever again. And they basically tried to kick me totally out of props.
Hot diggity damn.
And that wasn't it was just like, dude, I was trying to be the friend of like, hey, I'm calling this out. Let's talk about it. And then they just parted ways with me and didn't even want to talk about it.
That sucks. When was
And
this?
No, it's a bummer. I love those dudes, like
Yeah.
If any video company's ever done more in life for anybody, it's that company. But
Yep.
from day one, they promised me a price, and then I got screwed over.
BMX.
And then I showed them how to do Roadfools for free.
You innovated the shit. That's wild.
Oh, dude, I didn't even mean to, man. It's like I wasn't thinking about any of that. I was just trying to like make it. What I was trying to innovate is like us being more going on these trips and these like basically doing a site survey beforehand and going, yeah, we'll go here. Like Roadfools. I didn't go on Roadfools 8, but guess what I did do? I
Scout?
went and road trip to all of those spots and said, this is your route.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
I went with like Brian Kaczynski. I was like, dude, this and this, and found these are all the spots you're going to go to. And it's sick. So and then I didn't get to go on Roadfools 8, which would have been the last trip that I would have ever been on Joe Tizio, been on with Joe Tizio, and he was like one of my favorite humans, man.
Damn.
So,
Yeah. I think it's, well, rest in peace, Joe. But the notion of like going to spot scout prior to a trip is very admirable, and it's like that. It just shows you really give a shit. It's cool. Like I
I
makes me think
just,
of Dakota. Like I've heard stories of Dakota driving out from Cali to Arizona for a couple days, just literally driving around looking for spots, and then the trip
dude,
happened.
it's the best thing you do. Like anybody that wants to get it done and is on a mission to like clock some footage and stuff and be like, and already, but here also, um, it's good to film the stuff and like check, like not riding wise, but if you're a rider, like that way you can have visualize this stuff in your head
Yes.
before the
Yeah.
trick even happens. Because like one thing that happens, like when you're hurt, say you're down for 8 months, like all the surgeries I've had, you like sit there and go, fuck, I'm gonna suck so bad when I come back. No, if you're visualizing this stuff, you a lot of times you get right back on your bike and you're riding better than when you got off your bike because like it's in your head and the thought process is there,
Isn't that
as
cool?
is what you're talking about, like Dakota going and checking these spots out. He already has it on lock what he's going to do, and
Yep.
guess what? He's probably already thought about 3 tricks more that he's like, oh shit, I can do this now. The spot's so legit, And I mean, for those guys, like they're so sick because those guys can go to a spot and knock out 10 tricks. Where me, it's going to take me 500 tries to do like one thing, and I'm just not a dialed dude, Like I never was.
Man, that's relatable. um, spots. So what's your relationship with spots these days? Are you still like I?
I love props,
Yeah.
like
No, not props. Spots.
oh,
Like
spots.
I'll be driving to a job and then I spend an extra 20 minutes just like lurking around this complex for.
Dude, I see him every day. I see stuff every day. I see stuff in video clips in the background of stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that needs to be done, and that's something I would go do. But I'm scared to go to that spot because if I'm calling that out in my head right now, I'm going to try it, and it's probably a little bit different depth perception when you get there. But there's things that I see all the time that it's nonstop, dude. You can't turn that switch off,
Yeah, I don't think
and
I'll ever be able to turn it off.
every single day.
It's a beautiful blessing. I'll tell you, it's a beautiful blessing. Let's pause. I'm gonna pull up the Instagram comments or questions, and we'll
Yep.
go through those. I'm gonna go hit a bathroom break real quick,
All right.
and we're back. And we're back on the air, coming to you live from Kanode Knows podcast. So it's been a while, but I pulled up in the archive all the Instagram questions. We did not do this last time, correct?
Correct. I don't think so.
Okay. So we will start with Ray Munger 88 says, "Do you still ride a T1?"
No, but I mean, I would ride a pair of their bars or something. I'm riding a Laird frame. Actually, just picked up brand new wheels that Paul Rad from Cleveland, Ohio. He builds like all the stuff at Ray's Mountain Bike Park. He's also a custom wheel builder, and any any questions or answers you need about anything mountain bike or BMX, I had him build me new wheels, and I'm about to put a new Laird frame together. And
Let's
it's
go.
frame number. It's a very special frame number. I got this one a long time ago, and but it's frame number 666.
Sick. Fuck yeah. That's awesome. My brain first went to 69 and I was like, that's too low. 420 maybe, 666. Let's go. Tell me about the custom wheels. What's it like? What did you have custom made? Is it titanium and shit? What's
No, it's I just I worked in bike shops. I've always done my own work on my own bikes, and it's funny. Like I'd go to California and hang out with Rooftop. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm dropping my bike off the bike shop, and I'd like look at him like, what? What do you mean? He's like, yeah, and he just talked like I haven't got time for that shit, man. I'm a pro, Like I drop that other people work on my bike. I'm like, I was mind fucked by that. I was like, I love you, Rooftop, but no way. So I've always worked on my own bike and whatever, built my own wheels and whatnot. But you know, and I have time for it too. And but I was just like, man, I'd love Paul to build my, just to me, like this bike. And it might sound weird, but it's like this might be one of the last bikes I built. And I'm gonna be 49 in April. and I'm still riding. You know, I don't ride as much BMX. I'm riding more mountain bikes than anything. I'm gonna ride as long as I can. But
Yeah.
you know, with that being said, I've had my current layered frame for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years right now, and it's not broke. It's totally fine. So it's, you know, my bike's awesome. So if this bike lasts 6 or 7 years and doesn't get stolen or something, I'm probably not putting another BMX bike together. You know, it's like,
Yeah. So it's just special.
it's, am I going to be riding at 60? I hope so, man. I don't, am I going to be here still? I hope so. I don't know. It's like live each day to the fullest, and I'm going to put that bike together. And the coolest thing about this bike, I didn't know if I should do this or not, but I was going to, you know, I was actually just going to do a lot of people are on YouTube. We're doing channel 199 on YouTube and whatnot. I was just going to make a little short on this frame build and this bike build, and I thought it would be cool. Just, hey, this is what I'm currently riding, whatever. And it's
Fuck
kind
yeah.
of like the bike checks we used to do way back in the day. And I laughed because somebody posted a bike check that I did, and it was on my T1, and I, like what a lot of people will say, I like this iconic like sticker job that I custom did myself on. It was like this Etnies sticker, like wrapping the head tube and all the stuff. And that's kind of what this bike means to me. It's, you know, what has already been done on the bike. It was Cerakoted by this company, and everything I asked Mike to do to it. And he's never done this before, but he sent me some of the, um, there's like the seat stay gusset, you know, you can get them plasma cut out and whatnot. He sent it to me, and I actually dremeled into it and did some extra stuff to it. He sent me the bottom like down tube gusset. I dremeled that out too. So he's never done that before. Mike and I have like a really awesome
Yeah,
relationship or
that's cool
whatever.
as
So
hell. That's a
it's
special.
it's pretty rad that he like let me do that. So this frame's like extra special, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna put this bike together, and I had the opportunity. This is the first time in my life where I'm not tied to any companies. I bought all my parts, and you know, I'm very grateful that I know people in the industry. And I didn't ask for anything for free. I said, "Hey, I want to pay for this and whatever." But um, when I literally I try to buy it, and then all of a sudden I look at the receipt, and like they charge me like half price or whatever, and I'm just like, dude, it's like, I'm grateful, you know, and
Yeah.
it's it's pretty awesome, like feeling having like people support me like that. And it's, and the reason I wanted to buy everything is because I mean I can afford it now, you know, and
Yeah. Exactly.
whatever. Where I couldn't afford profile hubs when I first started, and
Yep.
I've never had profile hubs on my bike. So that's like when I say custom wheels, I'm like, I want profile hubs on my bike. I've
Yeah.
never gotten the chance to ride them because I was riding for Demolition or riding for this company or whatever. And it's I love Demolition, and I would run their wheels right now. I have no problem with them at all. It's just I don't have any ties to them anymore, and I don't think Castillo's part of that brand anymore. I think he sold the brand and he's doing other stuff now. So that was, I mean, he was my homie. So I support my homies, and
Right.
that's what it is to me. That's what BMX has always been. They've supported me, so I would buy their stuff and whatever. This gives me the opportunity to support other homies now, you know. And it's like, damn, I've never had profile hubs. I'm gonna buy some, and
Hell
I'm
yeah.
gonna buy them from Ray's Mountain Bike Park because Ray's lets me ride for free every time, even when I've tried to pay.
Yes.
So I'm gonna buy the stuff from Ray's, and I'm gonna tell everybody about it because it's like you can go get custom wheels built at Ray's, and that's what I did, you know. So
Yes. Yeah.
it's seriously, Paul was, you know, I called him up one day. I was like, hey, I want to get some wheels built, and I'd like you to build them for me, you know. And I've never had anybody build wheels for me. Paul's doing that, so I
That's
just picked them up, and so that's special to me, you know. And because I always do that stuff myself. I love building wheels. You know, I'd build wheels for Paul, but it's that kid can do them with his eyes closed, and he can have them done like that, and you know, and he's an amazing human. So I have the opportunity to put whatever I want on this bike, and I kind of handpicked everything that I exactly what I wanted, and I didn't have to sit there and ride something because I'm sponsored by him, which was
yeah,
cool.
exactly. It's like liberating. And you're right, it feels really good when you can now afford something and you can support the companies that hooked you up in the past or just companies
Exactly.
that you like. It feels good.
I mean, dude, it was crazy because like I've always wanted to run Reuben tires, but they're not in stock anywhere. It's just like, dude, I love this tire,
I
and
haven't
I
seen
was
those in a
never.
minute.
I'm like, these are the exact tires I want, and I can't even get them. This is bullshit, you know. And I'm sitting there like looking, scouring the earth from them or for them, and I two different companies because like nobody had like the rear. I was trying to get a little bit smaller size in the rear, not much or whatever. but the next size down and a big one in the front, but nobody had those. So I had to hit up different bike shops that had them. And it was funny. I hit up Power's bike shop. I just bought it online, didn't say anything, and package showed up, and I like got the package, and it was like, and then it said something. It said like a personal message to me. I was like, and I'm laughing. I'm like, I guess these people know me or something. It's just,
I guess I might be saying that.
oh, dude, I
Yeah.
don't expect anybody to know me. Like, I'm just like, I didn't hit them up. I just went online and bought it, and there's like a rad message and stickers. I was like, that's cool,
Fuck yeah,
man.
somebody saw the order and I was like, Nate Wessel, the fucking Nate Wessel is crazy. But dude, I'm looking at Ruben tires right now, and I can't believe I haven't thought about these in a minute, but these are my favorite tires of all time as well.
Dude, they're literally for if you look at the ones, I feel like that tire, and I've never got to run it. I have them now, and I'm holding them in my hand. I've held them in my hand before, but when I get to run these things, like I literally think that tire. There's two different versions of it. They have like some raised ones too, where it's a little bit more dirt or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I feel it's like the best tire you can run on dirt and street and
Honestly,
park and everything.
they nailed
And
it. Like
that's why I
they
wanted them.
solved tires, you know?
Yeah.
I got to ride them when I was younger, and it always felt amazing, especially on the front. All right, next question. Mario FBK, shout out Mario FBK, says, did you have those transfers in mind when building those courses that you also rode?
Yes, I did. So I never knew what was going to happen on some of the transfers. There's not many transfers that when I'm designing a course, there's not many transfers I don't think of. Of course, somebody else always surprises me because like there's just so many amazing humans like thinking in a different direction. And I think once you open that door for something like that, somebody will sit there and go, what's something that hasn't been done? Or there's got to be a transfer or something here. But I literally, the way that I rode myself and all the parks that I rode are the reason why I started designing parks in a certain way. And yes, there's some chasm gaps that we like build in our courses. Some don't ever get done, and but I try to make them so, especially if a certain guy's going to that contest, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build this thing, and I know Morgan Wade, or I know Gary Young, or I know Chase, or whoever, usually I know the riders that are going to these things.
Yep.
I try to design them in that respect because it's something that some of and you got to build the transfers both ways. You can't, some transfers I wouldn't do, but I built them for Morgan. I'm not going to pocket air my wrong way.
Right.
It's just, it'd be so, I'm not like Corey Bowen or Chase Hawk where they could probably do that stuff, and they can do, I mean, I could do opposite threes, but I ain't doing no opposite three like Corey Bowen,
Yeah, that's true. I can't even, on this note, I can't picture becoming a course builder who doesn't ride, or at least want to, you know what I mean? Like, have you met builders that are just kind of all science, not no experience?
100%. There's builders like that. I mean, there's people that are in skateboarding and in BMX that can build, but they're not on like that level of riding, but there's also builders out there that they just build, and they do like action sports, but they just build. I know quite a few of them, but most, I think the guys that are really making an impact, like they all ride, and they're pretty good riders. So
yeah, fuck yeah. Mario also asks, how was your time on T1? We covered that. It's good, right?
T1 was good. It was definitely straight up like, I covered it pretty well, I think, before. All time, like, would never have wanted to be on another company. It's just it was the best,
Bex. 514 BMXJ says, tell us about one of the more challenging park builds.
Man, I got to dig deep probably. I mean, all of them are challenging. I think X Games is the hardest that I did. It's just, you're signing a contract, you're signing your life away, that it's a TV covered event that is on a certain date. And, it's like, you got to build ramps that are 10 years old that are falling apart sometimes. You only have so much budget. You have this crew, and hey, did I get all the numbers right for the drawing that I did, that it has to look exactly like this because all the camera angles are going to be there, and can we get it done in time? And it's stressful.
Yeah, that's a
So
lot.
those jobs are probably the most high stress, and I knocked it out of the park every time. Not saying everybody liked the course that I designed and built, but for the level of like what I drew to what I built, that part was accomplished every single time.
Fuck
And
yeah.
camera angles and all that stuff, and it always like worked out in that respect. But that was probably the hardest stuff I've ever done. The other like really challenging one, any event that you do is like pretty challenging because you're under time constraints. The other like really challenging one was Red Bull Skylines, because I think we are building so much stuff that had never been done before.
Mm-hmm.
They're just and we had no way to test it because like they wouldn't give me any funding to test any of these things.
Right.
So when we did Red Bull Skylines in the Grand Palais, like we flew out there, checked the thing out. It was like, okay. And I designed this course and had the drawings of the building. And it's like, hey, these are great concepts, but do they work? I mean, if you go fast enough, you're going to definitely make that thing. But
Yeah.
can you hit the speed or whatever? I'm like, just you roll the dice at that point. You're just like, you just trust. Because like, even I'd never even written anything like what I was about to build. I'm like, I just know it's going to work. And I just, in my heart, I knew it was going to work. And there was things that worked that just, they could have worked better. Like as soon
Right.
as I wrote it, I was like, damn it, I screwed it
Yeah.
up. It works. But, and so that's stressful. And I think I was up for 73 hours. I slept like an hour and a half and like woke up and couldn't sleep. Yeah. Cause I was already been up for, I don't know, like 52 hours or something like that. And it
Yikes.
was and it was mental. I was delirious. I fell asleep for like an hour and a half, and I like, oh my god, and I went right back to work. And
Can I get back to work?
and
Fuck.
yeah, and we were tearing down.
That's
It was
stressful.
totally horrific, man, because we had like night and day crews, and I stayed up for all of it. So
Yeah.
when the day crew left, I'd stay there, and the night crew was on, and that was the only way to get it out. So like that one, probably one of the more challenging things that I've done. And any build that I do for Pastrana, it's you got to think outside the box and go to a place you've never been, because most of the stuff has never happened before.
Yeah. That's what a fucking cool like chapter that you're in right now too with the channel
Yeah.
199 stuff. That's fucking amazing. BMXJ also says, what's your favorite setup that you've built and what's your favorite setup that someone else has built?
Man, just like all those so favorite setup I built, first of all, man, the original Joplin, Missouri thing was insane. That
What's that?
was like, so the Jomo Pro Park, like before American Ramp Company came in, because they were trying to put their name on the park. So they tore down a percentage of the park to put their name on it and say they built it.
Wow.
Dickheads. But that original design was insane. Um,
I want to see it. What do I look up? Jomo
uh,
Pro?
uh, Jomo Pro or Joplin, Missouri. It was called Autumn Ramp Park.
Autumn Ramp Park.
But you'd have to see
See.
the original
I'm gonna,
of
yeah, I'm
it.
gonna just share my screen with you so you can tell me which one it is. Where am I? Damn, I lost my tab.
Okay, the second, the one right down is in the process of the second one, or yeah, the second one down in the left corner. That's when we were building it. That's the original. It was so, look how nuts that thing is.
Where'd it go? Yeah, fucking A. That's a lot. How
Yeah.
how long, like just ballpark, obviously, but like something like this, if it was an empty warehouse and they were like, Nate, we need you. What's the timeline for building something like this?
Well, that park sucked. They, dude, it was through a church organization. Nothing against them, but they promised me all this stuff because they said my price was too high. And they promised me all this stuff. They promised me that they were going to give me 30 guys and all this stuff. I'm like, realistically, can you give me 10 guys? They're like, yeah, no problem. I never got one.
Whoa.
Yeah, they had some people like show up to sweep and stuff. And so I cut my price in half, and we burned through all the money in 3 weeks, and we built the place. And I basically, in, it was less than that. It's like I screwed all the guys over on the job, and it sucked.
That does suck.
I literally, it sucked bad because like I could only pay them so much because we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And that's on me. I fucked up. That's like one of the times in my career that I fucked up really bad, and I didn't have any money, and I just bought a trailer, and I used my money, and it wasn't much. I used my money to buy a trailer and to fit all the tools in to go to X Games, and we drove straight to X Games to do X Games, and basically we were probably 95% done with the park, and I just went to the church organization. I'm like, you guys fucked me over. We should have gotten twice as much for this. We did the whole build, and they wouldn't pay me anymore, and they didn't. No guys showed up, and basically my friend Judd Heald went and finished that job. Him and this dude Scott, and then the American Ramp Company tried to put their name on it. Then
There's sleazeballs in every industry. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, and it did. Like, I'm the first one because I screwed up and I couldn't pay the guys what I wanted to pay them.
Yeah.
And it sucked real bad, man. And I I probably hurt some of my friendships with that, and that's on me. It's I not a good businessman. I tried to be, and I didn't realize this church organization was going to burn me, and they
Yeah.
did, and they didn't come through with their promises, and there were supposed to
That's
be
just
10 dudes on that job from ARC working with us every day,
yeah.
and actual ramp builders and stuff. We would have finished the job on time, and but
You
yeah,
learn.
we
What
got
can you do? You learn and move on, and then
yeah.
then you knew what to look out for as far as getting burnt like that.
Yeah, and it's dude, I wasn't sleeping on that job, and I worked like three weeks straight for no sleep at all, and every guy on that job, like they went all in because they're amazing humans, and they're all successful like dudes right now, and it's
Sick.
I'm grateful for every one of those guys, and it just sucks that like I don't know, like I definitely screwed up real bad on that job.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. All right. Copeland Hunter BMX says, "What was the first ramp you professionally built?" I want to try and answer that. Is it the Ohio skate park? The what's it? Changa? Is it Changa?
Um, I would say like I was in high school. Was I in high school still? Yeah, I was in high school still. And Bay Village, they have a concrete skate park now. That's where I grew up in Bay Village, Ohio. I wasn't a professional ramp builder, so maybe the first ramps I ever built were for that Bay Village skate park, which it lasted like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they tried to burn it to the ground. Some jocks did, and
Damn.
so those are the first ramps I ever built. And so I guess if you want to call it professional ramp building, I built ramps at Woodward before Changa. So I basically told him I could build ramps, but I'd only built those once at Bay Village, like because I went to Woodward as a camper when I was 19, and there's like, well, what are your skill sets? I'm like, I work in a bike shop and I can do all this stuff. I build ramps. They're like, you can build ramps. I'm like, yep.
Yep.
They're like, all right, you do this, and I was like, oh shit, and I just dove right in and
All it takes
built
just
ramps at Woodward that summer, and then I met the dudes at Changa, and so I would say it was Woodward first, and then Changa World.
there we go. You heard it here first, Copeland. People Places Bikes says, I think that's Mark Mewison. He says, ask him about his recent work with Ed Polio from NYDAC. What's NYDAC?
It's my buddy's building company. They do all kinds of stuff. Basically, a lot of stuff for Red Bull. So they'll do even they'll go down and like set up a whole like movable bar or whatever for an event, like for DJs, and they'll build out the whole set and whatever, and it'll just be for an event. And then I mean, they can do anything. They can like 3D print stuff. They can, CNC router like signs and just all kinds of wild stuff. They do stuff all over New York, New Jersey. They have warehouses like all over the place. They're traveling like the whole East Coast all the time. They help out with like anything and everything event wise. But the coolest thing that that I was involved with is they do the Terminal Takeover, which is a skateboard event for Red Bull,
Mm-hmm.
and it's down in New Orleans. It's at the old. It's not an abandoned airport. It's connected to the new airport, but it's the old airport,
Yep.
which is still like in use, but it's basically not in use. So we went in there and they already had a design, and then they asked my thoughts on it, and I helped them with some just odds and ends, and hopefully made it a little bit better for skateboarding and whatnot. it worked out. And my friend Ed Polio, I've known him forever. Awesome dude, awesome rider. He's done all kinds of really rad ramp builds and whatnot throughout the years. I even had him on my X Games crew like a long time ago, and but it was a pleasure to work with him. And I think that's probably one of the coolest events that I've seen in a long time. I wish they did something like that for
Yeah.
BMX because like Red Bull hands down has done so much rad stuff. Like I'm not a big fan of like the energy drink stuff in general, but for what the money they put back into a lot of stuff, especially this thing, where
Yeah.
they're going to local skate shops. They have these contests throughout the year, and they invite whoever wins these contests. They get invited to the terminal takeover. So it's local skate shops that are invite to these contests, and all these local skate shops are sponsoring like amateur athletes.
That's
And
fucking
the rad thing about it, it's rad like that these skate shops are sponsoring these kids because they're out and about, and they're getting out to the public and getting kids into skateboarding, and then these kids have the opportunity to come and skate an airport terminal. Who the hell hasn't wanted to do that?
yeah.
When you go through an airport and see all this stuff, how
So
many
many
times
spots.
how many times have you been to a place that you want to like skate or ride, and you're just like, there's no way we're ever doing that. So
Yeah.
Red Bull's like not only putting on these events for amateur, skateboarders, like they're like growing that scene. It's just so sick, like
Pretty
I
special.
it's like what Matt Bischoff was doing with the Red Bull Backyard Build Off. It's the exact thing. He's like holding a scene together and holding like these building teams together and groups of riders together. And it's just you don't see that like that often. And that's two events that I'm saying Red Bull did was iconic.
Yeah. It's weird.
And
In my mind, I'm like, oh, there is a BMX one just because I've seen clips of like Reed riding it and Brock, but it's not an official thing. Like they just got to ride the shit. But I didn't know that part about the local shop, and then each winner can go to the main thing. Like, what is there an equivalent? Do you think like that in BMX right now besides the back?
it's not the same. I mean, I don't think there's an exact equivalent because first of all, BMX shops aren't sponsoring riders.
Yeah,
Some are. I'm not saying none are, but it's like how many local skate shops are sponsoring AMs? A lot.
a lot.
There's
Yeah,
like quite a few. It's just totally different in BMX, and it'd be awesome to, and I know shops have helped me out in the past, like when I was like, you know, younger in BMX and whatnot. But it would be awesome to see, like, I don't know, would that make a difference? Probably not, maybe, but man, if a kid was getting flowed a couple things here and there, he definitely is going to get another kid into riding,
yep.
hands down. Hey, go to this shop. They've been good to me or whatever. And when I worked at a shop, like I helped out as many BMX people as I could, and it's
It all starts at the local shop, man. It's incredible how
totally
important.
does.
All right,
And I don't know of a BMX thing though it's
that's
helping like that exactly. I mean the local kind of it's like you got what Trey Jones is doing. It's like the Swamp Fest is like one of the coolest things that happens,
yep.
and I know that's a totally different scenario than what the terminal takeover is, but it would be rad to see if there's like, hey, like these like higher I guess the kids that like the AMs that are like way better would be rad to see if there was something like that in the BMX world
Exactly.
that like they got invited to, like a year end thing would be insane.
Yeah, my brain's turning on that. That's fun. All right. Moto B says, can Nate talk about his old signature items, demolition cranks, Fox gloves, etc.? I'll rephrase that. I'd like you've had signature products over the years. What would you say is your most proud signature item?
Probably I mean, honestly, my failure frame, it's I mean, I had a frame from T1, but it's like that probably would have been it if like I would have gotten to change like some of the stuff on the frame. And but there was like limited, it was more just like a signature colorway kind of
Right.
thing. If I would have gotten to change some stuff on the frame, it would have been awesome. So I would say my failure frame, I'm just stoked on how that one came out. And it's just there was some things that we did that like my gusset on it was like actually shaped like a skull. So that was kind of cool. Just like did some like little odds and ends like that. And it was neat that Matt even let me do that. I couldn't even believe that I was getting that. And it's like, and that was like my last frame, that was like a signature thing. But also I look at my Laird frame as my little signature piece now. So
Hell yeah.
it's but my demolition cranks, that was rad. I actually couldn't believe that I was getting like any signature parts at all. I mean, I look at all the other guys that were on the team that I was with all the time, like the Etnies team and T1 also. It's like those were my peers, of course, but I just always looked at those guys like these guys are all better than me.
Right.
It's like give them the signature parts, and I was pretty stoked that I actually got some signature parts from them. My cranks were awesome, but it's funny because I always like bring up stuff that is not either hasn't been done or hey, can I put a drawing? Well, what do you mean you want to put a drawing on there? Can we like write demolition? Well, we have our own like. Well, what makes this my signature part then? So I'd always been in an argument with Castillo, and I drew up like this skull. Like I just drew it in because I was an art major. I drew up that skull, and it was like a spine. It was like so it's a skull and
Yeah.
a spine, and it's a
Yep.
demolition in the spine. And I'm pretty stoked that he wanted to do any of
Yeah,
that
that's pretty
stuff.
cool.
And
Those things look like they could take a beating. All right, let's go to TSBZ423. Cool Instagram name. Says, what was your most memorable Roadfools moment?
I mean, dude, it sucks because I think I talked about this in the first podcast. Like, um, I got asked to be in the Roadfuls book, and Chris he's like, hey, be in the book or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'll try to write something. I started trying to write something, and was having a problem like remembering like the trips. So I'll just send me the videos. Let me get a refresher. And I started going down the list of every trip that I was on, and I'm like, dude, I remember the trip. I thought I did, and I started watching myself say words and ride stuff that I had no recollection of. I'm like, oh, there's a major problem here. Holy shit. So um honestly, one of the things that just saying this right now, the thing that sticks out in my mind is I physically remember going to Kona skate park as Road Full 7, going to Kona skate park that morning, and we show up and I was just shitting when I saw the snake run. I was like, oh my God. And we went in the shop and we were going to sign the waivers. And we're like, hey, sorry to tell you guys can't ride the snake run or any of the concrete. Have fun on the skate park out there.
What?
And I was just like, what?
That
And
sucks.
so I was furious. Like I literally tried to ride my bike and I couldn't. I was so pissed off. I did two tricks. I don't even know if they made it in the cut of that skate park I did at Kona. And I just went straight to filming. I was just mad.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is so dumb. Like we could send so much shit on this concrete stuff. And because literally I walked out the door and I saw the ramp and the roof. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I was also like, that's where Matt jumped on there was a roof or a roof was like this. Matt jumped on this little roof here and he like ninja dropped back in.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's that thing. That's sick, And I was like, oh my God, you could, and in my head, I didn't say it to anybody, but I'm like, you could definitely jump on that roof, I mean, it's like 15 feet up though, but you could jump on that roof. But I was mad like the rest of the night. And then we get a call after we leave the park. Hey, you guys can come back tomorrow morning before the park opens and ride the concrete shit. So I was like angry still. And we parked the bus and I went out and just rode. I didn't even ask anybody to go out. And I just went and rode on my own. Couldn't sleep. I rode till like 4 a.m. Came back, laid in my bunk, and I couldn't sleep. And I maybe slept like an hour. And we go to the park. I have all this anxiety and just trying to ride, and I was just like pissed off. Like for some reason, I couldn't get it out of me. I was just like furious that like I design and build shit for the world. I design it and build it for skateboarders, scooters, bikes with no regard. I want everybody to enjoy this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like you have this thing sitting in front of you that you're like, fuck you, no bikes are allowed on it.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, and it's just like I'm just furious at it in general because like I skateboarded for 8 years before riding bikes. I still skate, and it's like, what's the fucking problem?
Yeah, there isn't one.
And I have just like this is killing me as a park builder and designer. I'm trying to ride this stuff just mad,
Yeah.
and somebody's trying a trick and doing something. It was pretty wild, probably. And I'm so mad. I just like reached like a boiling point. I'm just like, fuck it. I'm jumping on this roof right now. I rode up to it once. I'm like freaking out, and I just was like, Rye, I'm jumping on this roof right now. And he's like, dude, can you wait until we're done filming? I'm like, dude, adrenaline's up right now. I don't think there'll be another time. I'm sorry to tell you that, but my adrenaline's up right now, and if
I'm
I sit
going.
there and wait 20 minutes, I'll probably be like, "Yeah,"
Yeah.
like it's anybody that's a rider that has done shit on that level of just like, I don't even know if this is possible, and you're gonna send something, either get smoked on it or do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you is when that time comes, you don't wait,
Yeah, you're not
you
choosing
know.
that time. That time
And
to
it sucked because like they were filming something else, and I'm like, I honestly I don't even care if you film this. I need to do this. I'm
right.
like, this will cure everything that's going on in my head right now. I didn't do it like I don't. My writing was never about like for other people. It was about like always curing what was going on
Just
with
getting it
me,
out.
you know.
Yeah.
And I just like then I was like, fuck it, and I tried to wait, and you know, and he like kind of gives me the okay, I think, or something, but I just was pushing it like I got to do this right now. And then I went for it and messed up the first one, and then I did the next one and was riding away, and I was like, just the feeling of that was being able to remember that, and it sucks because I don't remember a lot of stuff, and it's a bummer because that's the feeling of it is why I rode,
Yep.
and just remembering that and all that energy going up into it, and but it's not like anything else, man. It's like I don't there's not much stuff that I've done in my life that's like that. I mean, I've done some snowboard shit like that. I've done some stuff like that and side by sides and things like that. But it's on that level where you're just like pushing it to the envelope. And I mean, I honestly, the anybody that jumps on big shit like that could have done that gap. It's just I just happened to be the one that day.
Right place, right time, man. I love it. Colton S. Klein says, concrete or wood? I like that question.
When I'm injured, wood. It's a little bit softer on the body when you're slamming and whatnot, but concrete would be my number one choice all day long. But it's just so gnarly sometimes, and when I'm saying concrete, you like I love concrete parks and things like that, but when I'm like concrete sculptures and shit that like architects and engineers have built that like weren't meant for riding like that all day
Yeah,
long.
those are the best. I like this one too. Y'all gotta 17 says, what best advice for a guy who would like to build ramps for a living? I have a metal fabrication background.
Um, get liability insurance.
That's damn good advice.
Look into that because like the with the metal fabrication background, the good thing you can do right now, I have a bunch of homies that are doing this already, like Burley Matt. God, why can't I remember his he has a company. Can you look up Matt Jabot or Burley Matt? And it might be Burley Built. Burley Built.
Barely built.
It's like he does like metal fabrication, and he
Oh,
does like mountain bike stuff and all kinds of features and whatnot. So like in if you can fabricate like that, like you can like make it at home and then ship it out, and next thing you know, you know you're but get liability insurance and things like that, and it probably will take a little bit of time to get some of your stuff going. But I mean, this dude's been in it for 30 years, you know, so he's got a lot of experience, and it's pretty awesome to see where he's going with it. And I mean, he can make anything and everything. You know, he can do carpentry, but he's a super badass metal fabricator and super badass bowl corner builder. And he's been on a lot of my old jobs and whatnot. But the
heck
kid
yeah.
is amazing. And if you're going to do something and be on your own, this is something you can, especially if you're in metal fabrication, it's a good way to get into like doing the city thing and things like that, where the materials that you're using are going to last way longer instead of using like wood and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think my 2 cents that I would add in there is like it doesn't matter what industry it is, like find somebody who's doing it and then talk to them. That's the advice, you know?
I only got 10% left on my phone, so I don't know when my phone's going to die here.
Okay, we'll go speed run. Andy Dreads BMX doesn't have a question. He just says props on the street gap in Roadfools 5.
I don't know which one's that. I don't even
Yeah,
know.
Destroy Williams says, "What's your favorite Slayer song?"
Oh man, the Show No Mercy is what got me into Slayer.
Let's go.
So that one's so sick.
Catfish versus Thug says, "What exactly is the technical term for your ability to urinate over cars?" Strong
It's the
prostate.
it's the power piss, man.
The power piss. DeLorean Terrell says, will he get into making DIY jib spots or mini projects?
I've thought about it. I've been approached by it multiple times, but man, I don't. I would love to be like the designer of it and even make the first one as a prototype, but I don't think I'm meant for doing the same thing over and over and over again. Not that
Yeah.
I'm above that or anything. I need to be creating. For me to be happy, I just want to create, and that
Yeah.
doesn't mean it could be creating anything. Just creating a bar space for a friend that is starting a bar or whatever. It's just like I want to create, and yes, I would love to do some portable obstacles, but I'd probably like to maybe build a prototype and maybe design it, and then move on to the next thing and hand it over to somebody else would be awesome.
I love it. So there seems to be a trend here. Mike Escamilla says, why is Rooftop your favorite person? How high of a ceiling can you pee on? Are you out here peeing on ceilings too?
I've
Awesome.
never done anything like that.
That's great. And then he also says, why won't you give Rooftop your Citizen Bikes frame?
Because that's another frame that I have in the collection. I have a Citizen bike frame right now in my collection. It's pretty rare. It might go to somebody. I mean, unless I can get a space that I can display it or something, I know the person who I'd give it to. So
Word. And I think that'll wrap
and
it
it
up.
ain't Rooftop.
It ain't you, Rooftop.
I love you though, Mike.
Cool, man. I appreciate you coming back on. I feel like we covered it pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Last thing, real quick, who's your Mount Rushmore? Did we do this in the last episode? I don't think we did. Who's your top 4 BMX riders of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean Taj. It's I think Taj and Ruben paved the path like for BMX like that wasn't happening, and for my riding especially. Taj was a huge influence in my life, but he could just do anything and everything with such an aggressive style. And it's like I loved it all day long. I had an aggressive style, but I think I didn't make it look as good as what Taj did.
Okay, that's
And
good.
Ruben, he made it all look so elegant, but it's like, dude, from when I first met him in the videos that I've seen watching in his apartment in Spain, for when he first started riding, the dude can do everything. There's not one trick that dude is not capable of. And when he came from the stuff of what he was learning, and he basically like he did all the chest protector stuff and all the wild stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and from going from that point of doing like double tail with 360s to like just shifting gears and like, ooh, style, I like
Yeah.
this, and just it blew my mind. The dude is, and I was never capable of that. I never, I tried some of that stuff, but I never was well rounded like where he did every single piece of like what exists in BMX. And
He belongs up there on Mount Rushmore for sure.
dude, yeah, insane. Chad DeGroot,
Nice.
just because like everything, same thing, everything he's done in BMX, so well rounded. Not only like some of the most insane flatland shit you've ever seen, most insane street shit you've ever seen, like in his own unique way. Um, just being funny and
Yeah.
being one of my like close friends, and every experience I've had with him and just like his unique thought process. And Dave Frymouth,
There we go.
it's same thing, like where just from back in the day to like the stuff that he did till pushing it to the next level of anything and everything on a sub rail, and just all of his just like unique styles. I mean, how many guys am I allowed to pick? Because like all of these dudes are
You did
different.
it. That's it.
Oh, I did it. Okay.
Yeah, you did it. Thank you for your time, Nate Wessel.
Word.
Appreciate you coming on. And yeah, is there any last words to say to the peoples?
No, man. Much love to everybody, and hope you enjoyed this. And I'm just a brain dead idiot now because I hit my head too many times. But I don't know. Get out there and build something. Create some stuff, and go out there and get awesome on bikes or whatever you get awesome on, man. But enjoy life, live it to the fullest every single day. You never know what may come the next day.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and leave a review and like the video, share the show with a friend, and I'll see you next week. Next week, Tate Ross Kelly. That'll be cool. I kind of want to share a life update. I did it on the last Nate Wessel, so that's what I'll do now. Fuck, actually, never mind. I just went through a breakup. We could talk about that later.